everyone, and welcome back to Crochet Delight. I'm Barbara, and today we're going to dye some of the stroll fingering yarn that I received from Knit Picks. This is not a sponsored video. Pretty much none of my videos are sponsored. I pay for all of this out of my pocket. So today I'm going to dye this yarn with Country Classic Raven. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just do a dry bath. I pre-soaked my yarn in water with vinegar. And now I'm just going to sprinkle some of the dye on top. And at the end of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a jelly roll and then heat it up at 1 minute intervals to give it some heat to set the dye, and then I'm gonna wash it and then we'll see how it turned out. So here's the first step, already laid out, already spread apart. And this is the dye. It looks like it's a gray, so I'm just gonna dip my finger in and spread it around a bit. See if I can get some speckles. And since we're using an acid dye, you always want to make sure you're wearing gloves. And when you take your yarn out of the dye bath, out of the vinegar bath, I should say, you want to wring out as much water as you can while still leaving water in the yarn. At least enough for it to pick up the dye. And as you can see, it's already picking up some of the dye. And if you can't, let me get a little closer. It's already starting to pick up some of the dye. And I'm going to leave this for about 20 minutes. And then I'll come back and rearrange and do some more. Alright, so it hasn't been 20 minutes, it's only been about 5, and I think it's about ready to turn and add more color everywhere else. So I'm gonna carefully pick it up and turn it. And I know what you're thinking, is that what she calls careful? No. It's kind of half-assing it a little bit. But there's still some dye on my hands, so it's definitely gonna end up in places where the dye isn't on the other side. Okay. So this is pretty much what it looks like on the side that doesn't have all the dye. I'm trying not to touch it too much so that I don't ruin what's already on the other side. But now I'm gonna go and sprinkle some more. And as you can tell, I barely need to sprinkle any because it's pretty well covered. And since I have some on my hands, Like you see all this. I can lightly tap in some spots, get some of the dye off. But that's pretty much all the dye I'm willing to get off my gloves because I don't want to touch it too much. So now, easy removal. See, nothing on my hands. Hold your other glove in your hand, all scrunched up. And there you go. You just removed your dye-covered gloves. So now I'm just gonna let it sit and I'm gonna wait probably about 10-15 minutes. Then I'm gonna jelly roll it and then I'm gonna heat it up at 1-minute intervals for a total of 3 minutes until it's nice and hot. That way this dye actually sets into the yarn. And then I'll show you guys the washing process, and when it's all dry I will show you guys what the finished product is. Alright, I'll see you guys back when we go to wash it. Alright, hello everyone. We're back to unravel our jelly roll of yarn. So the washing process is pretty easy. You just unroll everything out of the jelly roll, get it all out of the plastic, and then you put it in the sink. Use a very little bit of dish soap to clean it because you don't want to make your yarn stiff, so you don't really want to felt it. And yes, it is possible to felt it, especially since this is a wool yarn. You can rough it up a bit, it doesn't matter, but you just have to be a little cautious, I guess that's the word that I'd like to use. So, see, this is part of it. Looks like I got a little more black than I was expecting. And if you want, you should, well, you probably should be wearing gloves doing this, but I'm not too worried about it since all of the dye has pretty much gone into the yarn. Anything that's left over is right on here, and that's going right in the garbage. So, all I'm gonna do is wash this up a bit. So, let's see how well this comes out. I'm gonna plug up the sink a bit and lay this in here. Two little pumps, and these are very little pumps. See about that. And a lot of this yarn has ties in it. Like right here, this is the tie. And they're figure 8 ties. So you can pretty much find the entire loop. I don't like my yarn to be a huge mess. So I'll hold on to it. just a bit while I'm washing it. And so far, this is what it looks like. I'm sorry if the lighting in here isn't that great, but I will be showing you guys what this looks like when it's all dry and washed. So for now, I'm gonna keep washing. I'm gonna do a couple more little cycles where I use soap and I use Dawn to clean my yarn. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's all nice and dry. Alright, so our yarn has finally dried, and this is the finished result. See if I can get the camera to focus. There we go. So I'm very happy with the result of this yarn. It looks like newspaper print to me, and I love that. So there's the first hank done, and I will see you guys back for another dyeing tutorial probably in about a week or two or so, and I'm gonna dye another hank of yarn, and then I'll set this one right beside that so you can see the different results. And then at the end of everything, when I have all 4 hanks done, I'll show you exactly what all of them look like and give you a little bit of a recap. Alright, have a delightful day and happy hooking, everyone!